Listen carefully, parasite. Ahead is the salvation code or the status of ultimate scrap. Look at your life when the resources vanish. In 2026, love is most often just a long-term contract for consuming your time, money, and energy. Your case is a classic dissection of an abscess. As soon as you speak directly and honestly, I can no longer feed you. My resources are exhausted. An instantaneous, terrifying defragmentation of the personality of the person sleeping in your bed occurs. The mask of the caring companion slips off with a wet thud, revealing the cold framework of a consumer. The reaction of the loved one is an immediate transformation into a neighbor. She doesn't ask how to help. She doesn't offer to share the burden. She doesn't stand shoulder to shoulder with the architect. She begins packing her bags because without financial feeding, you are a hollow shell to her, spent material. The solution for the masses here is cynical and precise. As soon as you turn off the financial tap, the true nature of the relationship manifests within the first seconds. If a person, at the first sign of systemic difficulty, declares you neighbors and starts looking for an exit from your perimeter, you were never a value to them. You were a function. You were an ATM with a bed-warming feature. Primal grounding. A parasitic animal, a tick or a leech, detaches from the host the exact moment the blood stops flowing into its bloated belly. A parasite does not empathize with the donor. It looks for the next victim. Your mistake was mistaking a biological process of consumption for human attachment. Straighten your back. Feel how your system becomes lighter with the departure of this unit. You no longer waste the processing power of your brain on providing for someone ready to write you off as scrap for a payment delay. Your 300 seconds to realize this betrayal have started. Either you admit you are feeding an enemy, or you remain a victim whimpering about a broken heart that was, in fact, never even touched. Stare into this silence that comes after the trough is closed. It is the most honest silence of your life. There are no lying I loves or we are together forever in it. Only you and your ruins remain, which now belong only to you. The parasite leaves not because you became bad, but because you became unprofitable. This is a business decision by a biological object. If you continue to chase her, trying to prove your usefulness through new transactions, you officially recognize yourself as scrap. An architect does not build an empire to maintain defectors. Your task is to record this moment as a critical error in the code and never again grant admin rights to those who do not invest their resources into your foundation. Either you dictate the terms of access to your resource, or you turn into an organic landfill for the ambitions of opportunists. Your inside tax is the immediate distribution of this code. You are about to learn how parasites try to destroy your identity, and if you do not infect your comrades with this, you are an accomplice to the system. Infect those who still believe that advice from loved ones is directed toward their well-being. We are dissecting the mechanism of guilt inversion. She sees your PTSD. She knows that for you, working for the man is a slow, agonizing death of your creative and constructive self. She knows you are an architect, born to build your own worlds. And what does she do at the moment of your deepest crisis? She cold-bloodedly advises you to get it together and go get a 9-to-5 job. This is not survival advice. It is a pure, distilled attempt to devalue your path and break your spine. It is beneficial for a parasite for you to be a slave in employment. When you are employed, you are more understandable, more predictable, and more stable as a donor. You become part of the gray mass that is easy to manage. Your ambitions for millions a month are a direct threat to her because there is no place for her in that future without a straight back and alignment with your scale. It is easier for her to pull you down to her level of poverty than to grow to your level of greatness. Solution for the masses: realize that when a woman pushes you to abandon your dream for a stable salary as a guard or courier, she is committing an act of mental murder. She wants to see you broken because a broken slave is easier to manipulate. A parasite fears your success because the architect's success makes him autonomous. She needs you to depend on the system just as she depends on you. Your wet dreams of 18 million are the only thing separating you from turning into organic dust. Never listen to the advice of those who do not take risks with you. She suggests you die in a 9-to-5 so she can sleep more soundly tonight. This is the peak of the betrayal of meaning. If you follow this whisper, you officially erase your architect code and replace it with the code of service personnel. Look at her face when she says find a job. There is no empathy in that gaze. There is only calculation. How can I continue to consume if this unit has stopped functioning as an income source? She is ready to destroy your potential potential just to avoid changing her habitual lifestyle. This is the true face of parasitism in 2026. To her, you are a tool that has become blunt, and she demands that you sharpen yourself on the sandpaper of the system, even if it wears you down to nothing. Cut out this advice along with its carrier. Your ambitions are your firewall. If someone tries to hack it through common sense and realism, annihilate that unit from your perimeter without the right to restoration. We are moving to the stage of systemic sabotage, the creation of a coalition of exes. Your case involves the union of Vika and Dasha. Yesterday's enemies today become allies in one single goal: the destruction of your ego. They begin to invent infidelities that never happened, rewriting the history of your year and a half together, turning your achievements into abuse and your generosity into manipulation. This is a factory of fakes, simulacra, working at full power. Why do exes unite? The answer is simple: to collectively convince themselves that he is bad. This is a collective psychological defense of their wretched ego. Solution for the masses: if they admit that you are a normal, worthy, and large-scale person, they would have to admit that they wasted their only chance at a quality life. They would have to admit that they are parasites who did not hold on to the host body due to their own stupidity and greed. It is easier to call you a womanizer, a psycho, or a schizophrenic titan than to look in the mirror and see a void. Their union is not strength. It is a declaration of their impotence. They are trying to create a collective hallucination in which you are to blame for everything, just to justify their current rotting in loneliness or with new, weaker donors. I see the structure of their lies. They take grains of truth and wrap them in layers of poisonous fantasy. Your focus on business turns into coldness, your demands for order into control, your plans into wet dreams. This is a standard set of patches the Matrix applies to the consciousness of female consumers after a breakup with an architect. Never try to make excuses. Any word of yours in this coalition will be used as fuel for their fire. Your ignore is radiation that burns them from the inside. When you are silent, their fakes receive no confirmation and they begin to eat each other. Your task is to realize that their gossip and unions carry no weight in reality. This is the noise of insects outside the window of your fortress. If you begin to listen to this whisper, you allow parasites back into your processor. Let them rewrite history. You write the future. An architect does not look back at the dump where his old blueprints rot. Their coalition is just a support group for those who fell out of your glacier hierarchy. Leave them in their imaginary world where you are a monster. In 2026, being a monster to parasites is the best recommendation for your effectiveness. Look at this critical node of manipulation, the ping mechanics. Your case, her message after a week of silence. Well, should I leave the account? You are sleeping, your brain is in regeneration mode, and suddenly an adrenaline hit. Your phone vibrates with this question. Decoding this is not a question about Steam, not a question about access to games, and not a question about technical hygiene. This is a connection check. It is a ping test request to see, are you still on the hook? Will you start arguing with me? Will you start sorting things out? She throws you a bone so you'll grab onto it and start wasting your precious resource of attention on her worthless person again. Your ignore is deadly radiation for her vanity. When you don't answer, she receives no confirmation of her existence in your world. Visual rage, physical log of decay. She logs into the account 4 days after the question. She didn't forget to log out. She didn't miss the reply. She is sitting there in your digital space, waiting. She is waiting for you to change the password, for you to explode, for you to write her a hateful tirade. Your account is her last keyhole into your life, through which she tries to spy on the architect who threw her out. She doesn't leave silently, because silence for a parasite is death. Solution for the masses: understand that any domestic question from an ex, sometime after the breakup, is an attempt to resuscitate your dependency. Where is my charger? Should I leave the account? Did you see what happened with the prices? It's all noise. If you answer, you lose. You let her back into your perimeter. Your ignore must be absolute, like a vacuum. Let her sit on that account. Let her see your progress. Let her see that you continue your expansion without her. This causes her more pain than any of your curses. She wants to be significant. She wants to be the cause of your anger. Your indifference is the scalpel that severs her from your future. She will log into the account again and again, checking if you noticed her presence. She will wait for a reaction, but the architect does not look through the keyhole from the other side. You simply change the password in silence when it suits you, or you don't change it at all, showing that her presence there is as indifferent to you as dust on the system unit. Either you are the operator of your attention, or you are a puppet twitching at every in the messenger. The glacier hierarchy requires cold silence. Let the parasite freeze in the void of your absence. We have reached the finale, your smirk as the architect's ultimate weapon, your second call. You are shaking from the remnants of the old attachment, adrenaline pounding in your temples, but you are already starting to laugh. You call her, and when she calls you a dumbass and sends you to hell, it is she who loses. Why? Because her aggression is a cry of impotence. She realizes she can no longer cause you pain. She realizes her manipulations no longer provoke tears and excuses from you. When you start laughing in the face of an attempt to humiliate you, you become invulnerable. You have seized control. Solution for the masses: a parasite feeds on your suffering, your attempts to talk like humans, and your guilt. Your smirk is poison that corrodes the very essence of parasitism. When you laugh in the face of someone trying to devalue you, you show that their opinion is now just a funny noise to you, carrying no weight in reality. This is the point of your final regeneration. The shaking will pass, the adrenaline will settle, but this laugh will remain in your foundation as a symbol of your victory over the simulacra of love. The result of this year-and-a-half battle: you are alone in your house. Silence. The voice requiring you to become a normal hireling no longer sounds in it. You endured. The coalition of exes can spit as much venom as they want, but they are in the past, and you are in 2026, on the threshold of your empire. A parasite will never admit it is a parasite. It will call you an abuser, a cheater, and a dreamer, just to not give up control over your perception. But the architect always sees the falsehood. You clean the system, and now on this sterile field, truly large-scale blueprints can be built. Insight tax, command. A parasite will never admit its guilt. If she asks, "Should I leave the account?" do not answer a single word. Let her sit there and stare into the empty abyss of your silence. This is her most honest price for betraying the architect. Your silence is your dominance. Never give a parasite a chance to hear your voice again. Report in the comments what digital ping did you ignore today, and is your code ready for complete autonomy from the coalitions of X's code accepted, hierarchy restored, empire cleaned. Your time is up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The system confirms the execution of the cleaning protocol. Begin expansion in absolute silence.